edit that shit out.
I think we should. What about talking about the guy in Minnesota who?
I don't trust you. I don't know where you.
And just like my older parents, you've been out here with no mask for so long.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now you want to put
your mask already has corona.
Oh, I got corona in my mask already. Yeah. You've been out here. You've been around this for the last 30 minutes. That don't mean that ain't nobody cough yet. I'm sure your cough is coming with that white wine.
The people want to see you.
They want to see my face. Ooh, they want to see this sexy, handsome face. There ain't no corona no more. Ooh, give me a good reveal. Go ahead, take one off.
Audio Jungle.
Oh gosh, what's going on, everybody? Listen, welcome back to Talk on the Table. It's been some time. You know, we've been quarantining and follow the rules for COVID-19. But today we decided to get together because this is these are unprecedented times. You know, there's a message that's being sent out there, and we felt like we needed to unite and be together.
Use our platform and just talk about what's going on in today's time, and there's a lot going on. And I wanted to start out with something like last week in Central Park.
Is any of it going to be light?
Well, this is lighter than what's taking place in the last couple of days.
Heavy on people's hearts.
Instead of 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Heavy on people's heart and mind.
So last week in Central Park, there was a woman, Amy Cooper, and there was a man, I forget his name. Christian Cooper, yeah. They were in the same park together. One was walking the dog without a leash, which was the white woman, and the guy was bird watching. He asked the white woman to leash her dog.
Which is park rule.
Within that section,
yeah.
It's posted. Mm-hmm. She got offended that a black man would try to check her, so she started to call the cops on him. And she specifically said, I'm going to say an African American is harassing me and threatening me, and she went into performance mode, and it was all caught on tape. Luckily, Christian is still alive, but what do y'all feel about that? And like her using her white privilege to possibly get a black man dead, call a hit on a black man.
I think it's disgusting. It's something that we're all familiar with reading, I guess you would say, in textbooks as to what's been done in history's time. I mean, if you think about Emmett Till in that situation, it's nothing new, but I think the experience of having someone to your face tell you you're doing nothing wrong other than getting on my nerves. So to get you to cool down, I'm going to tell them a black man is doing something horrible to me, a white woman, and the nerve of it. You know what that means. So it's almost you're threatening my life with everything that's going on in society today for doing absolutely nothing other than chastising or correcting your poor behavior.
Yeah, Shamaz, would you say that she recognized the power that she possessed as a white woman and what she displayed?
Yes, she knew exactly what she was doing, because in the phone call it just became stronger and stronger and more prominent of her just pushing a narrative that she's being harassed. Like the waterworks came, the trembles in the voice came, she just started to just kick it up a notch more and more and make it more intense and more believable. And it was just like, ma'am, you're being filmed and you're not even realizing you done got into full character.
She said, but
mind you, she was choking the dog.
But I'm a white woman.
Right.
I'm a white
She was
woman.
choking the dog.
I don't care you have this on footage.
And here's the thing. The reason why, truth be told, if you pay attention to all the articles and when you read back and forth, the only real reason why it really made so much light is not because of the gentleman recording it. It's because of what happened to the dog. The dog was about to die.
I don't think so.
It was more so. Yeah, that was just second nature. That was after the fact. Yeah, that was after the fact.
But that would be something to consider in the day and time that we live. I mean, as a black man,
because when I saw the first video, the first 3 comments that I saw was, "Oh my God, the dog can't breathe. Oh my gosh, she's killing the dog."
Yeah, that's what you saw. No, I saw her use her words and her privilege to possibly put a hit on the black man. I mean, as a black man, how does that make you feel? Walking down the street, that
that makes me feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, I think she used the police officers as a weapon. I mean, not in the sense of pulling out a gun, but they could have came there. Yeah, they could have came there. They could have they could have honestly killed them. And I feel as a black man, me. Having to question someone of a different race about an issue, and then having them threaten to use their privilege to call the cops on me because I didn't do anything. I just think that's just, as you mentioned, disgusting. It's horrible. It's racist. And I'm glad that she lost her job. I know Christian came out and said, I don't think that she was a racist, and I don't think that she should lose her job. This doesn't really sum up her whole entire life experience, but
I think he was more so saying he didn't want this experience to define her.
No, I think it should. I think it should.
And I was sort of questioning him when I saw certain interviews. Was he being that forgiving Negro that some of us have been for far too long at this point? She did this to you, and you don't really think she should get death threats. I feel like she should get all of it. Do I think she should die? No. But I think she should get a taste.
That's not what we stand for.
I don't think she should die. I don't mind that her life is being interrupted.
Oh yeah,
for
sure. Yeah, and I'm all in agreement with that. But I just think that for him to be so forgiving, I don't know. I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be that forgiving.
Do y'all think he was forgiven because I think his lover, his boyfriend is
white? Is he?
I believe so.
Oh god. That's a whole different story.
Possibly. I didn't know that.
Don't quote me on that. I think that's what I heard. He looks like the type that.
He's a very smart man. He's a very smart man. He's a Harvard graduate.
Yeah, we do bird watching, but it's a little different.
That still requires leashes.
Yeah, no. But I think she deserves everything that she's getting and has gotten.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I do think that she deserves everything that's happening, because what happens is the media and the public is now speaking out based on what they saw.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that we have our phones to be able to pull out and record.
Yeah.
And allow society to determine what the narrative was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if there was a possibility that the video was edited and it skipped from one thing to the other, the response of the public showed this is what needs to happen. And the thing about it is that even if it was, let's say, for whatever reason that it ended up was a less aggressive situation, right? It's still, the media put it in a direction where there was something that ended up being negative.
Yeah.
That's how we're perceived every single day.
Oh yeah, as a threat. Yeah.
Pushed out. We're perceived as a threat. We're perceived as violent. We're perceived as overly aggressive. We are perceived to not have the power to be able to be in control of a situation.
Yeah, because that could have got out of hand really fast. But this goes back years and years of continued behavior of whites calling cops on blacks, and then the cops actually not doing a thorough investigation and just under the assumption that, okay, this is a white person that's being threatened by someone that's black.
These people are calling the cops so much on us that the public has given these people names. Karen is the name for a white woman who calls the cops on a black person for just living, period. For living. Yeah. I'm glad that her life was interrupted. I'm glad that she was fired from her job. I'm glad that her dog was taken away from her, because we have to send a message that there has to be consequences for things that you do that are.
And I think she should have been arrested. I think she should have been charged and arrested. Yeah,
I think right now there's a Democrat out of Brooklyn, Felix Ortiz, New York State Assemblyman. He's revising a bill that he proposed in 2018, where it will be illegal. As of right now, I believe 4 states are considering it. 4 states. New
You're
Jersey.
wasting
New Jersey, what
taxpayers'
else?
dollars when you call the cops.
You are.
on
Absolutely.
stuff.
And they came out. They
And
actually
if
came
it
out.
results in somebody's death behind what police or authorities thought
You
was
should
a
be
real
you should be charged
emergency,
for that.
Yeah.
it's illegal to
Yeah.
call for the play on the phone of the police. And if somebody dies behind it or gets hurt behind it, yeah, there needs to be consequences.
Did they consider that to be a misdemeanor or a felony?
Well, right now it's still under investigation. And I believe as of right now, they're kind of saying, from what I
between.
read as of today, they're trying to work it out, I guess. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm a little frustrated with Christian, because he doesn't want this to define her. He thinks she kind of just used poor judgment, to say it loosely.
Do you think-
And I'm kind of like, no. And I think the community
She
is going to
knew-
turn on you if it comes down to a situation of, well, Christian understands what happened was wrong, and he's giving her a pass because she's apologized.
No.
She knew. She said, "I'm going to tell them that African American."
Oh, yeah,
that
she
was
knew
that was
full
her
on.
saying,
Not a
"You-
man.
Bitch, you're
Yep.
black.
You,
Not a
and
man.
you,
Get
and
you.
you know how
And
this
you
call
know.
is going to end up."
You,
Yeah.
you don't have the right to tell me anything. You don't have the right to even talk to me.
I'm a certain.
Who
So
are
you
you
think?
to
Do
tell
you
me
think?
what to do with
So
my
do you
dog?
think in her thought process that she really wanted this guy dead? Like she wanted really something
I don't
traumatic
think she
to happen
wanted
to
him
him?
dead. I
Yeah, I
just
don't
think
think
she
that.
wanted to
So-
assert her
something
power.
else.
She,
Yeah.
Listen,
basically, she said, "You checked me, and I'm gonna check you back." That's
the,
what
the
it was.
ultimate. I'm the ultimate checker.
Yeah.
I'm the ultimate checker.
That's a shame, man.
I'm a
That's
white
shame.
woman, and I'm clutching my pearls. When instead she clutched the dog, and the dog couldn't breathe.
The dog couldn't breathe.
So that that was light. That was light. We want to move on from here to the last
More.
couple of days.
Which I'll say to what I was just saying about the law. Oregon, as of January 1st, has passed that law.
Oh, they okay.
Washington will pass it June 11th. Washington is state, not
The
DC.
state, okay.
But I feel like
DC.
every state, city, whatever, June 19th of this year, it would just do a world of good as far as what's happening right
I can
now in
see
the climate
I can
we're
see
in,
those southern
that it should be
states.
illegal.
Yeah,
Those
I can
southern
see those
states not
southern
going for
states. Yeah, not going for it. So in the news, I don't know if you guys heard about. There are 4 gentlemen that were working out in the building in Minnesota. I think they have a lease and they operate an office within that building. They were working out in the gym, and then a white guy came down and he questioned why they were in the gym. And he asked to see their badges, their office keys, and he just kept badgering them about, why were they there?
Well, that was the
And-
thing. The office key to me is a prominent part of the discussion because you have to have that
To
key
get inside.
To get into
in the
the-
building
and get
to
into
get
the
into the
gym.
gym.
Okay.
He wanted to know how they got there.
Yeah.
Who let them in?
Yeah.
Why were they here?
Yeah.
And that's what the one guy was saying. Like, to get anywhere in this building, you have to have keys, which all of the members that he was with have
Had
keys. So
keys.
it's not like I rent an office space here and I have me and my friends with me.
Yeah.
We all work in this building. We're all sharing a rented office space and have for over a year. We don't know who you are.
Right,
But at
right.
the same time, we assume if you're here, you're supposed to be.
Right.
Let me ask you a
right.
question. I know it would be easy to just show him, "Hey, here's the key," but I also know that it's kind of like, why do I have to show you anything?
I don't.
Yeah,
In a
that's
situation-
flexing your authority. You're not the building police. You're
In
not.
this situation, to kind of like alleviate the stress of him calling the cops, would y'all just, or would y'all?
No.
Okay.
Let the cops come.
Yeah.
Are you going to show me yours?
And again, if these laws
Show me
get
yours.
passed,
I show you mine.
he called the cops on y'all on me for absolutely no reason. So
But you know when the cops come, it's an automatic assumption of
Oh, if it's a
guilt.
law,
But the
then
thing
I'll
is,
take
some
them
people
away.
may think that,
I want
though.
them handcuffed and take them away. It's a law.
Yeah, but some people may think, okay, let me just show him my badge so I can just let this go. I can just show him my badge. He'll be
fight another
fine.
battle.
He'll be comfortable. I can go ahead and continue to work out. I don't need the cops involved. I don't want those type of things happening. So a lot of people may think like that.
Yeah.
But for me, personally, I wouldn't have showed him shit. Like, fuck you. Who the fuck are you to come question me? I'm a grown. I'm sorry. Excuse my language.
This is
And this is the anger that I have.
the 700
This is the anger that I have because you have all this built up aggression because of it's actually white men who sort of flex their powers.
and women.
And women who have the privilege and they like to flex their powers, and so they want to say,
Karens and
why are you black people in here? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Like, who are you to question me?
Why are you
This is
occupying
not
the same space?
This is
that
not
I'm
19.
occupying?
This is not 1950s. This is not the 1960s. Like, you're not going to come up to me and question me when I'm in this building and I'm here to get a workout on. I have an office in this building, I have the right to be here. You know what I mean? It's like I have the right to walk down the street and tell you that you need to have your dog on a leash. I have the right as a black man to walk and not feel threatened. Or be a threat to, you know what I mean? Like to be a threat to
Let me
you.
ask y'all a question. Everybody at this table, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I've never, if I did, it probably was once or twice in my life ever experienced like hardcore racism to the extent that I'm seeing in the world. Have you guys blatantly experienced like racism? You have?
High school.
You have? Okay. Yeah, I want to briefly say what it was.
Keep it brief.
Brief.
Well, high school, I was a couple white kids. I went to a predominantly white Catholic high school. They would throw out the word nigger all the time. Oh yeah. So some of them would definitely throw out the word nigger. I mean, they got dealt with, but they, not me personally, but it happened to a few people I know. And then I got pulled over by a cop who profiled me, and he said I was a drug dealer. He made all these different assumptions. He was looking for a reason, but yeah, it was two experiences I had that I faced racism.
That was my probably biggest one. I think I've definitely had a couple, but when I was 16, driving the kind of car that I drove, and looking like a kid, I got pulled over, and instantly it was, I don't have a chance to talk and explain any of the questions he was asking me. I drove off with like a $1,300 ticket. My dad was infuriated because he knew exactly what it was. We took it to court and it was like thrown out instantly.
Okay.
And I'll say fortunate but unfortunate, because a lot of black men and women don't have the same privileges as some may have or experience. It was kind of my dad's kin was kind of, this ain't happening in my house and not to one of mine. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to go to court. This man is going to look me in the eye and explain why, because none of it, I mean, the paperwork didn't even make sense for where I was and what he said that I did. So it instantly was like my dad being who he was politically at the time, the judge just asked what my grades were like and to enjoy the rest of my day and go to class. And the whole thing was dismissed. But I do realize as a black man in America, even then, somebody else wouldn't have had those advantages and may have had to pay that ticket, or the consequence could have been worse.
Yeah.
Jamas. My most recent experience was me getting pulled over. Similar to, but I just would not settle for yes sir, no sir. You know, I got pulled over and you're asking me for, you know, my identity of who I am and, you know, for my articles of the vehicle. I'm reaching for them, but you're not telling me the reason why you pulled me over.
Yeah.
And so he asked, and I said, I'm reaching, you know, I'm being smart, but at the same time, I'm also doing what is asked of me. I'm not doing it in the manner of yes sir or no sir, because again, you pulled me over and I don't know why you pulled me over. So after all of this back and forth, he got so frustrated with me because I wasn't letting down. You're pulling me over. You don't have the right to pull me over because you're not even telling me why you pulled me over. That was my mentality, and I was sticking for it. You're just gonna take me out the car and shoot me and pull me over, or whatever the case may be. At that moment, you were just gonna have your way, and the Lord was just gonna take me wherever He needs to. That's how I felt at that moment. Because I was not having
looking back on that situation and everything.
I would not have done anything differently because
so you was ready to go.
I was ready to go at that moment, and you know where I was coming from. One church was living right to the Lord.
Your sins are forgiven.
Exactly. No, but it was to the point where
You ain't sinned yet.
do you know when the officer got so mad and he was so furiated about time he left? Sorry guys, we got our neighbor. She wanted to speak to us.
Shooting a podcast.
Shooting a podcast. We're gonna invite her over. But he was so infuriated that he just walked back to his car and just tossed his hat in the car and got in the car and pulled off. I still didn't know at that time. I still did not know what my ticket was for because I refused to sign it. I refused to acknowledge who he was. I refused to look at him. And I was on the phone having a conversation with someone.
Thank God he
purposely engaged in a conversation.
That cop wasn't a prick. Were all these cops?
No, the thing is, they wanted to.
Mine was.
He was trying.
Yes.
He was trying. White. Both of them.
Yes.
Both of them.
It was to the point where once I got to court and I explained to the judge, and the judge was like, "We throwing this out. This is not right."
My question is,
I get stopped by the cops, not all the time, but I get stopped by the cops.
Guess what my ticket was for?
What? Being black.
No, making a left turn without a left turn signal.
Well, that's just I get stopped by the cops, but it tends to go smoothly. I don't know why, but it just tends to go smoothly. They just ask for my stuff, and clearly I've done something wrong. In most cases, I'm making a turn that I shouldn't make a turn, and they just ask for my stuff. They'll run it real quick, and they let me go.
Do you think your skin color has anything to do with it?
Maybe they don't perceive me as a threat. You know, they probably see that doesn't even matter. You know, having a car seat in the back. I know that doesn't matter because sometimes there's kids and Anthony Costello, what's his name?
Costello.
It was a kid in his, so I don't know. Maybe they don't perceive me as a threat, or maybe I just lucked up in good, nice cops.
My thing is, so I always have this question in my mind. I don't want to go on a tangent, but it's so many different things in my mind. Why are black people feared as being so violent? I know that a lot of things are portrayed in the media and music and stuff like that, but dating all the way back to the early 1900s, like we were hung, we were like the violence was put against us, and it's like, why are we so feared?
So,
I don't get it.
I don't know if
They want to control. That's not that they fear. They want to.
it is a fear, and it was a narrative that they did. I don't know if you would call it media for the 1900s, but there were literal posters where us drawn as super muscular, super lit, super big aggressive, and it'd be this tiny little white woman running away someplace, and it was to convey, stay away from black men, white women, children, because they're aggressive, they're overbearing, they're monsters. So if that's what's being fed to you, yes, if a white woman saw a black man, whether it was Jamez or any of our beautiful melanin shades, it was, I need to fear for my life. There's that black man who's coming to rape me, not help me with my bags or point me in the right direction.
Back in the day when he's walking, right? Like white person come in, you walking down the street. You ever notice that they cross the street?
Cross the street or clutch their pearls. But the thing is, even back then,
Or the locks on the doors when you.
even back then, the Kens and the Karens of the world knew the beauty of a black person, especially a black man. The strength, the poise, the character, all of those things. Even if we weren't educated, even if we weren't,
there's an intimidation. There was
a natural intimidation, and also with the intimidation.
So many years, like we were, like they had control of us for 400 years of being enslaved, and then now we're free. So what is the
men was intimidated about us, and the women were attracted to us.
But the men were secretly too.
And that goes as a pause on the show.
So I think basically a lot of what we're all feeling and the world is kind of emotional about is all stemming from, and although it wasn't the first occurrence, and I'm sure it won't be the last, as we've seen the day of several different incidents that all of these riots and protests were going on, there's still intolerable abuse going on. But largely right now with George Floyd's most recent death that sort of ignited this new movement of protest or wave of rioting and looting, which I definitely want to put out there as we begin to delve into that, is that most of the protesters are peaceful.
Yes.
They're coming together to take a stand on something, and luckily through cell phone use, we're finding out that a lot of the looting and the negative that's being shown is not even us. It's not what we're standing for. There are people, if you pay attention, if you're a little bit more woke, they're dressed in like all black. Who knows exactly what race these people may or may not be. They're coming in disguise of helpers, participants, smashing windows and walking away, leaving piles of bricks around. There was like a vintage cop car dumped in the street of one city. Like the cops don't even use this kind of car. Where did that come from? Of course it was set on fire. So there's little things that are sort of being done by whom we don't necessarily know, but it's triggering groups of people to act on it. Which is shedding a negative light on the entire protest that is happening, which could be seen as something very peaceful, very, very positive, to bring about change.
So won't you tell us about your experience of going down to the protest?
I went to. It wasn't the Black Lives Movement. It was a protest prior to the Black Lives Movement protest. It started at noon on City Hall here in Philadelphia. I went there. It was a beautiful coming together of many different ethnicities, black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It was beautiful. We went there. We was heard. The emotions was there. People were holding hands. At one point, we all had to hold hands with people of different races, and it was just beautiful. Now, that was during the day. Now, at night, it's totally different. At night, the looting, the rioting starts, and like you said, there are a group of people. They're dressed in all black, masks, gloves, so you can't like really tell what complexion or skin color they are. Mm-hmm. They're hitting glasses with hammers. They're not even going in.
They're setting it up.
They're setting it up. So what our people are doing, and we've fallen for it, we're seeing the glass broke, we're seeing the merchandise in the store, and it's kind of like, oh, let's go grab it. But if that window wasn't broke, it's kind of like, would we even go in there? Because that's not what we were about. It's kind of like we're being led to do this, and then we're being shown on TV coming out with merchandise like we're the bad guys, like we started this.
So do you think that the looting is taken away from the actual cause?
That's the purpose of these people. They're coming to make this movement unsuccessful, to sabotage it, so we can look like an idiot on TV. So when these people see it, they're like, yeah, I'm not voting for their interests. They're animals. Mm-hmm. I'm not supporting this. These are animals. And then we're left to explain, like, no, this is not. There was at one point yesterday, there was a guy. We were on the art museum steps. There was a guy saying, "Fuck the cops." It was a lot of people saying, "Yo, that's not the message that we're sending. We're not saying fuck the cops. We just want the bad cops held accountable."
Yeah.
We know that there's bad apples in every department, but it's like that's not the message we're trying to convey.
I think all this would stop if cops hold each other accountable. Mm-hmm. If cops are actually charged for killing an unarmed black man or black woman, I think all this will be done. We just need to hold the cops accountable. If they hold each other accountable, if that one Asian cop saw those three guys on George Floyd's neck and said, okay, stop, let's try to figure out another way to do this, then it wouldn't have come to this point. I think this is the tipping point. I think everything came up to the lid, and then once that George Floyd incident happened, everything just like exploded.
That was
to
emotional.
The point,
that was a different type of feeling.
It was 8 minutes and 46 seconds that he had his knee on his neck. Like, as a human being, like him doing that, like, and seeing that visually, I just couldn't fathom.
But did you see the officer's face? There's no like he's applying pressure. Like,
it was like
he continued pressure. This guy.
No. But what I'm saying is like the officer's face is just like it's just everyday life.
Somebody described it as watching a lion hold a zebra in its mouth.
Can you imagine?
For 9 minutes while life slowly slips
Can
away.
you imagine
That's
a
what it
knee
looked like.
putting pressure in your, mind you, your main artery is here.
There was two other guys on your stomach.
Yes, so you can't breathe. So he could not breathe. And then they had this whole thing where they did, I know we're all over the place with this, but I'm sure we'll bring it back. But when they had the autopsy that came out that says there's no physical showing of him having experienced asphyxiation or anything, or strangulation or something like that. And it's like
it was due to health conditions and possible
potential intoxication. Like, how can you come up with? How you
release an unfinished report?
And it's just emotions. I feel the emotions running through my body now. And as far as the protests, I did see there were peaceful protests. I saw a lot of people going from the City Hall to the Art Museum, and they were actually peacefully protesting. But what is I guess we're getting to the point where now we're being heard. I mean, we've had these peaceful protests since the 1960s, where the civil rights movement, and going on and on and on. It's like, are black people being heard? And I don't know. I think the rioting and the looting all is a result of not being heard by doing the peaceful protests. I'm not saying that it's right, but it's like, what other way could we express ourselves by not causing some sort of economic harm to businesses in the city. You know what I mean?
A lot of people are saying that rioting and looting is not the way, and they're saying you have to go to vote. You have to vote our people and to have our interests. Alex, you mentioned something about people, meaning the mass people. They're being politically immature. Expound on that.
I was listening to a speech that Malcolm X gave, obviously some years ago, The Ballot or the Bullet. And he talks about the black community being politically immature and needing to become politically immature. He talks about where we spend our money in our black community. And because we don't, that community eventually becomes a slum or a ghetto because there's no money there to support it. We accept, which is good and at the same time bad, all these other people that come into our communities with their businesses, where they're thriving, making money. We're happy to get their money. And they take all that money they made, all those black dollars, and they take them out of our community and back into theirs in their homes. And those homes in that neighborhood continues to thrive because that's where they're spending their money.
They say the black dot, sorry to cut you off real quick. They say the black dot
or something
stays in our community for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Black people thrived back in the day when everything was segregated. Black people had to build their own. They had their own banks. They had their own Wall Street. They had their own small businesses.
That was taken
away.
Taken away from us and burned down.
Yeah, and we're so willing to accept everyone else, but at times we don't support our own, and that's where we have to get back to. We have to bring these black-owned businesses back to our neighborhoods.
I think we're getting distracted by music. We're getting distracted by, back in the day the music was different. It was a message in the music.
Yeah.
Now we're getting distracted by the message, and there's no message in this music. It's just ass shaking. Music was political back in the day.
So what do you think about these celebrities?
During certain times the music became more political. Like right now we need a whomever to come out with that anthem of what's happening today.
UNITY, what was it, KRS-One, Black Cop,
music has a big
absolutely
influence. Yes.
And these young people they want the latest dance, the latest this. That's all they focus on, when they should be learning about what these people are doing, going out to go vote. And that it wasn't. Music was big back in the day, but we have more outlets where music can be streamed and all of that. So it's kind of like a bigger reach than it was just back in the day. And now it's just taking over.
What are the celebrities? I don't want to get off the focus of George Floyd.
We'll be back there.
Yeah, what are the celebrities doing that are from these neighborhoods? What are they doing to give back? Are they investing in their neighborhoods? Are they buying houses in
well, I hear T.I. has a lot of stuff in Atlanta.
Real estate?
Yeah.
Okay. Latifah did a lot in New Jersey.
I'm sure Candy has a lot of stuff.
What about in Philly? What about some of the people in Philly?
But celebrities don't think it's their responsibility to give back. They just take in.
Some don't. And I mean, sometimes you have to find a cause or a reason bigger than yourself, or just understand something or someone somewhere needs help. And if you're in a position, it's like, why not?
You know what? Just a quick personal experience. Kenny Gamble. I don't know if you guys know Gamble and Huff. So Kenny Gamble bought majority of South Philly, and he provided affordable housing to black people within the area. Like, he gave back. So it's like you're looking for other people to at least think in that way. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't
Chris
know. I think we need more
on the topic of
investments.
celebrities, married to John Legend, gave $200,000 to help get anybody arrested during the protests out of jail. And I thought that was amazing. I think if you have the resources right now to show your support in any way that you can, it's going to be amazing.
There was a local guy here. He's the owner of Philly Mechanic. He does credit repair. He does a lot of stuff with Salt, the country cooking. He just was saying he's donating $500 to whoever was locked up in the protests here in Philadelphia. So I just wanted to shout him out because he's a local.
Is this big business or?
What's a big business?
Well, that's his Instagram. I forget what his actual name is. He does a lot of real estate.
No, this year.
Okay.
No, not big business. No, yeah. So I just wanted to shout him out because he does big things here in the city. So I wanted to big up our small black businesses.
That's good.
And give him credit too.
That's good.
I want to know what do y'all think should happen to these police? Like jumping back into George Foreman.
Yeah.
For not
George Floyd. That's what you say at the protest yesterday. George Foreman. Y'all think about the George Foreman greedy asses.
Forgive me.
What do y'all think should happen to these other policemen who stepped by and watched this happen?
There was only one.
Well, no, there was like 4 total.
Oh, well, they were
on it.
I think they should be charged.
Accomplice to murder.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, you didn't commit the crime, but you stood there and you watched it happen. I get there's a blue code, but at some time your code has to deal more with humanity and people, and for what you signed up for was to protect and serve the people. And when you stand by and you watch somebody commit a crime such as murder, you're just as guilty.
What do you think about the charge though? Like the third degree murder charge and manslaughter?
He said they're gonna play that down to a parking ticket.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, I heard.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I heard that they can upgrade the charges if
At
more
the time.
evidence comes in. They can upgrade it from third degree to second degree. So, but on surface, you guys don't agree with that third degree charge.
I feel as though that they're already setting the bar at this point, and they don't expect it to go above it.
It's only gonna go down.
Drop beneath him.
Have you guys seen any photos of him in handcuffs?
Yes, I've seen the video.
Did you look at the photo?
You saw it?
I've seen the video.
That's an old photo.
You mean George Floyd, right?
Yeah.
So
no,
they-
not George Floyd. Kaufman. Kevin. Whatever.
Who's that?
The officer.
Derek
the name.
Chauvin.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
There's no video.
Yeah.
It's only that mugshot. Which
But I think they
appears to
said
be-
they got 18 charges, right? They got 18 complaints on him,
Well,
right?
they do throughout
that's
his 20-year
different.
history or
Yes.
something. But why is there no photo or media coverage of whether they went to his home to get him and handcuff him, take him away from his children,
True.
put him in the backseat of a cop car, have him sitting in a waiting
Or no
cell?
current mugshot.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's none of
Yeah.
that. My
That
thing
current
is,
shot is not.
he doesn't deserve the respect
Yes.
of a law enforcement person. He's a murderer.
Yes.
Like, give him the same respect you would give another
Same
murderer.
treatment, yep.
You would kick his door in front of his
That's
friends,
right.
family, and children.
Well, no, hold on. If you black, because
Well, yeah, if he were black,
the guy who just did a double murder,
Oh yeah, the young guy from Connecticut.
he's sitting on the side of the police
He
car.
got big. Didn't he get?
He had two. Mind you, no. They
that's
gave
the
him
guy-
a bottle of water. They
That's
gave him
the
some
guy-
water.
There's
Oh,
the
that was the
picture.
guy that shot up the churches.
Yes.
There's a picture
The
of this
black
guy.
churches.
There's a picture of this guy. He did a cross-state highway chase or whatever
Yes.
like that.
Oh, the young
They
college
got him
boy.
sitting down. They got him sitting down on the side of the car, and the cop is feeding him water.
Mind you, took I think 2 or 3 Ubers from Connecticut to he
Killed his
carjacked.
best
He
friend.
carjacked 2 cars. He took like 2 or 3 Ubers from
Yes.
all this from Connecticut to Hagerstown, Maryland.
Yeah.
Like
they
how
cut the
can
PA.
you?
And he's sitting on the side of the cop
He-
car, and the cop is feeding him water. Like, you thirsty?
Wow.
I don't give a fuck what you are. You just killed 2 people.
Just killed 2 people. So mind you, he's already labeled armed and dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're coming with your guns drawn when you see him, right?
No, not really. Not if you white.
Well, not if you. Yeah, that threat is gone once they see your skin color.
Let's get going. There was also a guy. He was standing. I don't know if he was mental or whatever, but he was in the street. He had a handgun in his hand. White guy. They pleaded with this man for about an hour and a half before he was able to before he was able to shoot at the cops, and that's when they shot him after an hour and a half.
We would have been dead on sight.
Oh hell yeah!
Dead on sight.
No, I told him, and we could have said, "Hey, I got my license in my back pocket." As soon as you reach for it, pow, pow, pow.
I mean, there's so many stories. Did you see the old woman who was knocked over trying to save?
Oh
her
yeah,
grandson?
I saw that too.
Is that the one by the
and that was
cop?
because, well, I can.
I don't know
No.
if it was a black cop. It's a black
it's a black-
young guy
yeah.
laying on the ground, and he's scared. Like, you can hear he's crying. There's a girl on the side saying he's scared. He's kind of doing, like, it's almost like, I don't know, a plank or something you can see. He's like, I'm scared. Just put your guns
So
down.
what happened with that? What the media mentioned was he ran a stop sign, but he continued to drive even after the cops put on their sirens for him to pull over. So. In my instance, as a black man, it's like, yo, I want to get somewhere safe. Like, I don't want to be pulled over right here, and God knows what is going to happen. You don't know what's going on. You know how cops are quick to react. So it's like, all right, I'm young, I'm driving this car, I'm ran a stop sign. Let me get somewhere safe. That's his thought process.
I mean, but think about. I mean, look at it like this. Look at the.
Look
at Ahmaud Arbery's situation.
But when you pull right over, nobody can see it. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
Before you even got to the Ahmaud Arbery situation, you had a former cop. You had two white men that decided that they wanted to choose him.
Actually, three.
Technically, yes.
No, because the cameraman tried to stop him initially, and then the other two pursued him.
It was a whole town. If I don't know if I read text, they were sending text. They were policing their own neighborhood. They was like, if anybody comes in this neighborhood who don't belong, we're killing them. And there was group chats that was.
And did you hear what the owner said? The owner said that he probably came in there just to get a drink of water, because a lot of people go into the empty house to get a drink of water. Yes. They may do. Besides that,
people come to this house all the time.
They got video. They got video of a couple that went into the house to kind of just look around, and it was nothing said about that.
Like that seems a little weird to me.
No, I don't think so.
No, if I see an empty house in the neighborhood, it look like it's being worked on, I'm not going there.
No. Some people would though. Like for me, like I think
you're not doing that.
No, listen. I can understand how people would. If they see an empty house, they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like, let me just see.
That's not my house. But
it could be. He might have assued he's dead, so he can't tell the story.
Was there for a sale sign on the?
No, he probably assumed. Okay, maybe there's somebody in there working on the house.
Show hands if y'all see a house. Who's going in there to check it out?
I don't know. If I see a house, I mean, more than likely, I probably won't. But I'm just thinking for Ahmaud Arbery, he's not here to tell that story. So maybe in his thought process, maybe somebody was there working on the house, so I can get a break from jogging and talk to that person.
I get that. Plenty of reasons.
But I'm just saying, just hypothetically speaking.
Well, maybe it's something in the South. Maybe something going on in the South.
I think also the picture that I saw, the house is not set up like how certain houses in the city are. I feel like, did he go through the garage or something like that?
No, he went through the front door.
Through the front.
I think he went through the front door.
See, I'm definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But like the owner said, more people.
But here's the thing: the owner of the home
didn't
even make a complaint about it. He just said, "I was missing."
And he had him on recording.
I was missing a fishing rod. That was it.
And he didn't take that, of course.
And that didn't fit the description of what the owner saw of how the fishing rod got missing.
But like I said, it was they were policing their own neighborhood, and I think they knew of this gentleman because I think
they had an encounter before because I believe that the dad.
So it's like, yo, he's here. Let's
go get him. He had a complaint.
Or a complaint or something against him before in the younger years.
Yeah.
So he was already set out to get him for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but bringing it back. Go ahead.
That again just goes back into Karen and Ken.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
Yep.
You're not the authority. You have, there's a citizen's arrest, and people need to find out exactly what that law is
a citizen's arrest?
A citizen's
and I don't want to come on, and I don't want.
I'm a citizen too, so what gives you the right to arrest me?
Yes.
If you're doing something illegal, then I have.
But you don't know I'm doing anything illegal.
If it's apparent that you're doing something illegal, I can.
You're assuming.
No, you're That's
no. If I see you shoot somebody,
that's something different. That's an actual crime that's being taken.
But that's what a citizen's arrest is. If I see a crime being done,
well, that's not up to you. So why would you as a citizen do that?
Are you supposed to read the person there, right?
I think citizen's arrest. I don't think it deals with murder.
No. He asked what a citizen's arrest was. If I witness somebody doing something illegal, I have the right to arrest them. Make a citizen's arrest. That's what a citizen's arrest.
Let me see the level, because there could be levels to the shit. It could be a citizen's arrest only involves potential robbery or burglary or some sort of criminal mischief. You know what I mean? I don't think it leads to the.
No. But here's the thing: there's also different lingos. There's also different language. There's different lingo, and also it's covered differently in different states under different.
Let me see. Criminal.
So I don't think
civilian.
I asked.
Well, that's the basis of it. You know what I mean?
What is
if a person witnessed somebody?
But again, that's another down south state.
So I think because of the history of the aggression and attitude towards the black community throughout all these years, I think black people are just not
retired.
They're not accepting of cops. I think that cops for the first 6 months, as I was telling y'all before, for the first 6 months, once they get hired to whatever precinct they are hired to, for the first 6 months, there should be some sort of community involvement. That means the cop goes out to the community, gets to know the residents in the community, does some sort of community activity, maybe with the kids, with the teenagers, with the adults, really gets to know the community, and then after that 6 months, the lieutenant does some sort of assessment, and then they go out on the beat.
That's if they want to change.
They need to know. They need to know. But that's the issue. I think the issue is these police officers don't know the community.
New York City is not trying to change.
They don't know the community. They don't know the community.
I feel like you may not be trying to change, but you don't have a choice but to change. If you don't like this group of people here in this community that you're assigned to protect and serve, and you ready to go to another neighborhood,
I get that. But what if these people are not here to protect and serve? What if that's what they what they market?
Yeah.
Well, and I think
so. They're not going to change
to making the people from the George Floyd situation accomplices. So if you're in New York City, Philadelphia, Chicago, Miami, and your partner, your co-worker is committing a crime and you've done nothing but know about it, you're an accomplice.
But Blue, I think it's Blue protects Blue.
Oh, absolutely.
It's being black and being a minority. Outside of that, they don't care.
But it's
so if you have a black cop
as well.
Oh yeah, but if you have a black cop, they're going to protect the cop. They're not going to protect the black man that's out in the street that just with the knee to his neck. They're not looking to protect that. They're going to protect their own. I don't know whatever code that they have. These cops have.
Oh, what's out there? Code.
Somebody that's a cop that want to come on the show and break down that code. Please let us know.
I have my cousin. I have family members to it.
And blur out your face.
I don't know their position.
Don't walk out the blur though.
Okay. I don't know their position on the issue.
But I mean, this is for you. The NFL just recently released a statement saying how they are mortified about what's going on. They feel for George Floyd's family, and they're just devastated. A lot of people are saying that's real ironic when y'all stifled Kaepernick.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel their statement is sincere? Or?
I think so. I think it's sincere. I think they've always been behind Kaepernick at some degree. I think mostly the owners were the problem, where Kaepernick had an opportunity to, he knelt his, for whatever cause, but a lot of the owners were against that. I think the NFL as a whole saw the cause. They donated a lot of money. I think there was a couple of players who made like this group within the NFL, and then they donated a lot of money to a lot of community charities. But it's commendable that the NFL is finally acknowledging the reason why Kaepernick knelt. You know what I mean? Why he got down on one knee.
They are acknowledging
it.
They're acknowledging it.
Yeah, because now you have a lot of different NFL players now. Now you having white NFL players coming out. You had,
when you say NFL, are you talking about the players, or are you talking about the whole organization?
No. I'm talking about players. So you had Carson Wentz.
The players are different.
No, the players are not. I think the players
have the right to do what they want, but I'm talking about this statement is from not
the owners are not going to.
The commissioner, Roger Goodell.
I agree with his stance on it, but I think it also trickles down to the actual players. I think the star players within the league, the white star players, have to voice their concern of what's going on out there. So we had Carson Wentz say something. We had
and then the owners,
Joe Burrow, say something about it. These are stars. These are white stars, white men that represent the league. So for them to come out and say something, I think it's a good thing, and I think it needs to be heard. And hopefully, a lot of young people who follow the NFL and a lot of older people who follow the NFL will understand the struggle that Kaepernick laid out. He laid out his life on the line. You know what I mean?
He waged everything.
And he knelt on the
Vogue magazine, Vogue.com actually published an article, and the caption and the title of the article says, "Now do you understand?" And there's a picture of Kaepernick kneeling, and then there's a picture of the cop.
Yeah. Exactly. This is why. That was the point. This is why he knelt.
And the message is getting out there, but is the change going to come? That's the question. What is it going to take for us to be able to have something in place that's going to create the change for equality, equity?
That change starts right now with the the arrest and prosecuting of
That's a
these
start.
cops.
That's a start.
This is the start. This is the sign. This is what the people want to see. I believe if they do that, we go home and watch and see what happens. We stop looting. We stop rioting. We're watching. The ball's in y'all court now. We're watching to see if y'all going to do the right thing.
And it took how many days for them to arrest the cop that killed George Floyd? A week?
But
Like, why does it have to take you a week when you have video evidence of what happened? You know what I mean?
The blue
That's
code.
cold.
The blue code.
Yeah.
That blue code.
We
So they
trying to find a
waited.
loophole, something to get them out.
And then the FBI had to come in.
And
But
then
this
that
is
autopsy is going to be used in court. Oh, he didn't.
Well, the
kill him.
family is they're doing their private autopsy with
Oh, of
the
course.
same.
which they should. Which
the
they
same,
should.
The same guy that did. What's the guy that they claimed that died in prison of suicide, but I come to find out he was murdered in prison.
What are you talking about?
Do you feel like an autopsy is needed?
I think
Yeah,
so.
of
If they're
course,
trying to,
yeah.
yes.
I feel like we
But here's the
saw
thing.
on camera.
But that
you-
doesn't,
saw it
that
on
doesn't tell
camera,
a story.
but
But that's
still
another
has
piece of
to-
evidence.
An autopsy will determine a case. A case can go.
That will put that was
They can
that
have
will,
everything on film.
that will put the stamp-
witnesses,
that will put the
everything.
stamp
Once
seal
that
on it.
autopsy-
How his body reacted to
So
the
if this
situation.
autopsy comes back that he didn't die as a result
Well,
of
the one
they
autopsy
don't have.
already
If
said
they
that.
they get a personal
Well,
one.
they
If
said
it says-
physical.
If it says
They
they
said
don't,
physical.
they get a personal autopsy. If that one says the cop didn't do it, if it says no evidence, they don't have to release that into use that as evidence because the not the defendants are getting it.
Well, they say no visible physical, physical, I guess, view of him being strangled or
But he wasn't
asphyxiation.
strangled.
However, something internally could have happened. Like he had, I
It
think
could-
he had
it
an
was a
underlying
cause and
heart.
effect from it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
If that
him
wasn't
putting
on
his
them,
knee,
it was-
him putting his knee on it could cause a
They're
stroke.
gonna say, well, if he wasn't doing something illegal, the cops wouldn't be on him to cause him to die. So that's what
And
they,
here's
We're
that's
the
talking about a $40, a $20 check that was.
no,
there
a
are black
$20
people
counterfeit-
serving a
counterfeit
long
$20 bill.
period of time for a lot less. I feel like if it came back negative, set an example, you still going away, buddy. Sorry it was you.
Yeah, I think all of them. The other 3 cops should be accomplice to murder, and I think he should definitely get
if they
murder.
if
on
they
the
say
second.
if
I
they
think
say,
he's on suicide watch
they
right now,
try
right?
to do it.
They worked together for years. They were bouncers at a club.
But they overlap. Their schedules overlap. So I don't think
said
they.
that-
But he's familiar with it. Anytime
They're
they're bouncers,
familiar as the cute.
they're
Yeah.
familiar with each other.
There's also a claim that I don't want to speak on the dead, but his resume was he did porn. George Floyd, he did porn, straight porn. But they're also saying that the cop did gay porn.
Well, he did. Well,
This is
George
what- this-
Floyd got. He was just getting some pussy.
No. I'm saying the cop. They saying the cop did gay porn. So they say they kind of like.
I don't think that. I mean,
That's
I
not
understand them
important
bringing.
right
I understand them trying to bring up all this different things, but it wasn't nothing but a man getting some
So
pussy
when
on
he was mad
camera.
that he had a bigger dick than him? No, like, come on, that you will be killing everybody after that, killing all black people. But
Look, shit, I got a porno out there.
You might do.
No, I'm just joking.
No, but
just
he
make it
needs to
like
go away, but
people
I think
make
that's
sex tapes. So
the
they
beginning.
need an.
It was very
This
amateur.
situation needs to be an
Very.
example
You
of
saw
the
it?
change that needs to happen. He needs to be charged with murder on the first degree, if not possibly. What's the second?
I'm a
degree?
second degree is
degree.
not premeditated.
I'm okay with second
degree
degree.
is not premeditated without intent. I get it.
But you
And the officers supporting also should be an accomplice to murder.
go ahead.
I don't know if I am with not premeditated. You have 19 other indiscretions, and who knows how you start the day.
And who knows how you felt about him?
Yeah.
I mean, you were familiar with him,
but
but
your
you
information
have
is more
to
than
prove
could be.
that,
I'm
yeah.
going out here and I'm taking one. And yeah, maybe you can't.
You have to
prove it.
prove that he said,
Yeah.
today I'm waking up and I'm going to go kill George.
Can you prove that? I mean,
Even
can you go through?
Even if they're familiar with each other, why isn't it that okay? If we're both doing the same job as a bouncer, and there's a phone call that comes in that says that you did something illegal, I'm gonna come up to you as a cop, and I have familiarity with you. I'm gonna say, yo, what's up? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm going. We can
But
just
if-
get in the
if-
car. I'm
if
not
you-
gonna handcuff you.
If you racist, you don't know the history at work though. He might not like. He got a white. It was a white woman who was claiming him. I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a white woman who's claiming to be his fiance. Maybe he's upset about that.
So, so what do you guys think about? I guess I know we talked about the looting and the rioting.
Well, what's the difference? let's be clear to the audience of what's the difference, because the media is portraying everything to be the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So let's chime in on the exact things of what's happening.
Yeah.
So protesting is what? What's your definition?
I think protesting is making a statement, whether silent, physical, or audible. You made some sort of statement that didn't necessarily cause harm. I don't know if a protest, you can still call it a protest if it does cause harm. But I'm thinking most people are thinking I'm doing a peaceful, or
I think that leads to
peaceful protest.
Yeah.
But I would say a riot is when something is out of control. And looting is now you're stealing, you're committing a crime. Yeah. Because they could say a riot is just there's too many people on the street at one time and running in one direction.
And they can't control it.
Exactly.
So, and I think,
rioting is a part of this country. It's how this country end up making... Rioting and protesting is what made this country be able to stand on its 2 feet.
Mm-hmm. I think,
So now that you have black people at the head or the start of the protest and rioting, now it's becoming a problem. But
it goes again to Karen in the thing. How dare you speak up against? I definitely want to talk about that.
Go ahead. So I just think that at this point we're starting to riot to be heard. So I know you mentioned something. You had some background knowledge on. Rioting.
Rioting. Think about the first well-known riot is the Boston Tea Party, where they were raising taxes and applying taxes to just everyday life. And guess what? There wasn't black people in that that Boston Tea Party tax riot. Technically, it was not. It was the white people that felt like the government was trying to take control of their money, and they were not having it, and they burnt the most valuable thing that was around at that time with the spices and teas that was coming in as being imported and deported at that time. So they didn't want to hear about it. So you think about rioting, and everybody puts a negative connotation on it, which is very true, but it all depends on the narrative of why the riot is set. You have quote-unquote white people that riot because their team lost, their team that they wanted to win a particular sports, whether it's baseball, NFL, football, basketball, college, or professional level, that started a riot because either their team...
on my paper.
That B was rioting against your shirt, okay? It wasn't feeling it. No, but you have the white culture rioting and acting a fool or blaze because their team didn't win a particular sport. We have the black population that's rioting because we are paying our tax dollars for protection and to be kept safe, and you have police officers that's killing us. So we're paying the police officers.
So how I look at it is that we're supposed to be free, but we're not free. We're still technically working on the plantation. We're being paid these low salaries to do this hard.
Just enough.
Sorry, I'm not going to do what I work. I don't work for anything.
We'll give you just enough.
Yeah, we'll give you just enough, but not that much power. And these police are ultimately, not masses, but they work for masses plantation. You know what I mean? Like it's like modern day slavery.
Well, they talked about on the news, there was one newscaster, and I forget his name, but he talked about even right now with the essential workers, most of those essential workers providing the help that America needs are black. And most of the essential jobs are jobs that pay very little.
They helping more and getting help.
But what I don't understand is that how are black people, or anything that's associated with black people, the statistics is always, in the black community, everything is always the worst, but we are the smallest population.
What do you mean? Elaborate on that.
Yeah.
In other words, so when you see statistics, crime is the highest in the black community. Crime or drugs and prostitution is the highest in the black community. The black community holds the highest rates for HIV and STDs.
That might be the case,
but the statistics is based upon what
a small group of people.
A small group of people.
That might be the case because oppression. Some lady said it.
If there is, how many people is in America? If there's 3.2 billion or a million people in America, and we only occupy 5%, how are we the largest we're the minority, but we're the largest with the most problems.
Because this is the most depleted area.
Yeah.
So if you go and
We start from a disadvantage.
But what I'm asking is, the statistic is compared to what else?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's compared to the general population.
The general population. So
if they say
you got 3.2 million people and you only have 500,000 black, but everything that's the worst in the world is
and because I think it's true because
I don't see
we
it.
start from a disadvantage.
I don't see
there was an illustration.
I see more country white folks walking around with missing teeth and one shoe and flip flops.
I see what you're saying.
I don't believe so. It's more white people that are I'm sorry. Welfare. It's more white people that are on welfare. These poor trailer tramp that knew how to work the system before.
But that's statistics. That's statistics.
And the statistics is when you come through, they're delivering a false narrative. Yes, some of it is true, but majority of it is a false narrative about the black community, and that gives the depiction to other communities that we are the bottom feeders.
Well, that's why it comes to the point where we need our own media to tell our story, because right now we're at the mercy of mainstream media,
a network or something like that.
I don't know, but we had BET at one point. I don't think BET did us any service. I don't think BET did us any service.
Well, they run white people.
Well, yeah, now they are. But then you had TV One come into play, and I think they had a couple of nighttime
any black business, any black business, black people don't support it.
Well, no, I think black people actually supported BET.
But they sold it.
But Bob Johnson sold it, and he's a Trump supporter. He's a Trump supporter.
Gentrified.
Here's the thing. There's a difference between Republicans that are. Anybody has the right to be any political party based on the views of what it is. And when you're dealing with a certain tax bracket and money demographic, I do understand where there's benefits in being in the Republican Party. However, majority of the Democrats has to deal with a lower tax bracket in certain.
So let's talk about political parties now. So, how do you feel with this upcoming election? And then you had a couple of celebrities come out saying, "Don't vote. We don't want you to. We don't want you to vote, or we want you to think about voting for Biden." How do you feel about the black community in this upcoming election and voting Democrat, voting Republican, or not voting at all?
We need to vote, but I understand what they were trying to say. They were trying to say the Democratic Party take our vote for granted, so they don't offer anything. They say, "Oh, we got the black vote in the bag, so we don't got to give them shit because we're going to give them it." So they're saying you no longer can count on our vote. You have to give us something now to get our vote. It's not saying that I'm going to go out here and vote for Trump, but you have to earn our vote now. You can't just assume that you got our vote.
I would rather them say earn our vote, because those are the words that they're not using. They need to say for the black community.
But that's what I got out of it.
No, but honestly, that is the truth of what the narrative, what Puffy was trying to say. But those weren't the direct words that were coming out of his mouth. And you have people that are not smart enough to dig deep to find out. Oh, well, Puffy said don't go vote, so I'm not going to vote.
Yeah, I get that.
People listen
to that. So you need to have the correct verbiage. If you're going to be very direct. At this point in time, being direct, there's nothing wrong with it. Being social media, being public media, being mass media, it doesn't
matter. Know what? And you know, if people don't vote, we might take a L. The Republican Party might win by a landslide. But guess what that's going to do? That's going to make the Democratic Party say, "Yo, we got to work and get these black people voting."
But do you want to?
I know we can't. I know we want to
sacrifice our livelihood, our safety, just to make a point for 4 years? Mind you, we got to live through this for 4 years.
Yeah, I understand that, but we can't continue to just give these people our votes and not get nothing in return.
But at this point, what do you do? It's getting
we might have to take an L.
Mature.
Yes.
It means when these people say, "Hey, I'm having a town hall meeting in your neighborhood," you show up.
You know, it starts at the local level.
It starts at a local level. Please, people, when you go out and vote, the primary election is equally important as
voting sheriffs, voting the person, the attorney generals, voting the people who's a part of the smallest aspect of government. We have to vote on.
Can I ask a question? Do y'all understand that the wards have changed in our city?
The wards?
The wards. Does anybody know that the wards has changed, which initially affects the electoral votes for presidential election? Nobody pays attention, but nobody understands it. So the wards in Philadelphia has officially changed. So let's say Uptown. Dividing line at one point was Stanton Avenue. Now the dividing line is now Germantown Avenue. So now you have to mix up the services. You know what I mean? So now the vote begins to change, where it could have been this section of the city could have been red, but overpowered with blue surrounding. Well, now you allow a loophole for the red to spew into the blue area, which now ultimately changes the ultimate electoral vote. So at the end of the day, people understand that everything starts within the community, whether you're North Philly, South Philly, Kensington, Uptown. You gotta vote. Let me understand who your community leaders are and begin to take it from there. And your voice does matter.
Let me ask you this. You said something about us being politically mature. I know that when I go to vote and I see all these names, I only recognize the top name or whatever I heard on the commercial.
That's just what I was just talking about.
You know what? So how do you propose that? I know we have to get involved, but how do you do research?
You just asked that question before you.
How do you propose these people who, in the black community, we have to work 2 and 3 jobs to compare to our white counterparts? How do you propose that we, the black community, keep up with all of this stuff when at the end of the day we tired from working 2 and 3 jobs? It easier for us to pit everything on the ballot. Here's the thing. I'm not saying this is excuse. I'm just saying how do you?
And I guess this isn't necessary to be necessarily an attack on you. We got less than 50 seconds left in this community. My issue now is with you asking that particular question, which is a valid question, but how you ask the question almost as if you were tired and frustrated because now you have to ask that question. It's like, what are you saying?
I'm asking for the people because this is the reality of it. The reality of it, we have to work 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, and you want me to come home and read about.
So it starts with the sacrifice you make today so that hopefully tomorrow you don't have to work those 2 and 3 jobs. Depending on who agrees with you that you start at your local level, those are the people who want to take to their higher ups and say, but why are we paying, who we've now discovered, essential workers who work at ShopRite, who put their lives on the line so that we can have a place to go to get food, to nourish ourselves, when you're told to stay in the house? And I don't know what the minimum wage is, but why are those people who are essential workers only getting minimum wage? Why is it that somebody who works at a bank, who gets to sit at home, still get paid, not deal with this, make this much, but somebody who's doing X, Y, and Z not have enough money to pull themselves up? Why should that essential worker have to work 2 and 3 jobs? So when they start to evaluate what the minimum wage line is and what jobs pay what, okay, well, let me go and let me fight for these people because you put me in a position to fight for you now that you know that I stand for what you stand for. It's almost like it starts with, Phil, if you or whomever has a son, what do I care about?
Well, don't say me. I'm just.
And that's why I said,
for the people.
Yes, or people.
No, not me.
If you have a son, if you have a daughter,
I pays attention,
and you live in a neighborhood, let me find out when my child turns 6 and starts first grade or kindergarten, whatever it is. What is this school going to do for my child? And why is it that I know my older cousin whose child is 4 or 5 years and lives in a better neighborhood speaks Chinese by the time they're in the 2nd grade, but that's not on the curriculum for my school?
I get so the thing is, I think the first thing is that people have to register to vote, and you have to be registered with a political party, either Democrat, Republican, or independent. Now, if you are independent, there's not that many people out there, that many options out there for you, so you have to vote. You have to vote party lines. You have to vote Republican or Democrat. For me personally, you know what, this past election, I did research. It was a local election where they were electing like judges and stuff like that. I sat at that ballot on my phone and looked up the Democrats and the Republicans. It took me some time, but I was able to do that. to your point, a lot of people may not have that time or may not want to invest that much time and energy in doing that.
And
so
time
they
and energy, then you don't want the change to happen.
well, no, they do straight Democrat. They say, all right, I like Democrat, straight Democrat, which may not be.
Prime example, Clinton.
You have moderate. Wait. You have moderate Democrats.
What do you say to a single mother who's working
listen,
2 jobs?
listen.
She got to come home and do homework, and then by the end of the
And
night,
that's-
you want her to.
Well, and
I'm not saying. I know it's what you want, but how do you say to his mother, okay, I know you did 2 jobs, and you come home and do homework.
At this point,
and you got to get up. You got to get up in 4 hours to go do it all over again.
At this point, guess what?
You gotta
At
do
this
it.
point, you gotta do it.
It's the
That's
same.
easier said than done.
But
It is.
Speaking first of all, let me speak. Now,
Okay, single mother.
First of all, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you chose to be a mother. So, which means,
But you didn't choose to be. You didn't choose to be. You didn't choose to be a single mother.
chose to be.
You didn't choose to be a single mother.
At the end of the day,
Oh, you can choose.
Which is
It's a choice.
questionable.
Which is questionable.
so moving forward. So let me
in the
finish my
black community,
statement.
in the black community, you know that the fathers are not because our men are locked up for dumb shit.
Not all.
You not
He may not have been when you
at the
got
end of the day,
pregnant.
you wasn't thinking about that when you was fucking.
Yeah, but he was
So
locked up,
moving
though.
forward, you chose. You chose.
Or what if one parent died?
Okay,
Because our black men are getting killed too.
Yeah.
okay. So again, back to the point at hand.
I need
you
some more. Ain't no
chose to.
This was for me.
You chose to be a parent, and you decided
We
to
don't
be.
choose
let
to be
me
a parent. We
finish.
choose to have
But
sex.
you shut the
No,
fuck
we
up
choose
and
to
let
be
me
parents.
finish.
We choose to have sex.
No, some people make that decision. Yes, they do. They do. They do.
Again, so again,
I
once you
chose to have-
decided that you were pregnant,
Did your mom
and you decided to
Your mom chose you?
My,
I was
I don't know what my mom was thinking when she laid down. I don't know what my mom was thinking. I'm sorry, Jamez. Go ahead to you. No.
I'm over it because
No, I want to hear your
totally
point. I want to hear your
So
point.
now I
wanna hear
don't
your
have
point.
a point anymore because he just totally made a whole joke out
No,
of it.
no,
and
no,
it was
go
very,
ahead.
very serious.
All right, moving on.
No, go ahead. Make your point. Make your point.
I'm done.
Can you say your point?
Oh,
please?
come on, gosh, I'm drunk. Shit.
Stop being the
Bitch.
Karen. Stop being
you.
Stop being Karen.
We here, we talking.
No, we here
Come
for
on.
it, man. Go
But
ahead.
at
gotta
the
be
end
like
of the
that.
day, if a single mother has to bust their ass working 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, 9 times out of 10, that mother already has the mindset that I want better for my child, I want better
Yeah.
for myself.
Yeah.
Well, in actuality, that same mentality has to go, I got to get to the golden goal because I want better.
Yes,
because
yes.
if I want better, then I know that my vote
And it
counts.
starts. You know what it starts from
Getting
too.
to the polls is not the problem. Is understanding everybody who's
But
on the
all
ballot.
of that at the same because
But
9
that
times out of
takes a
10,
lot of
because
research.
9 times out of 10, that same single mother is on social media looking at the shade room. That same single mother is looking at what.
Now you
Maybe, 'cause we don't
categorizing
want
everybody.
exactly.
You know, I'm giving an example. I'm giving.
Don't lose your
I'm
point.
giving
Don't lose
an
your
example.
point.
So
Go
at the
ahead.
same time, there are resources.
Now you sound like the white people looking at us riot and saying, "Oh, look at them animals. Everybody's doing the same thing."
Well, you know what?
At the end
Well,
of the day,
go ahead.
as
I'm not
I
even
am a
gonna say
single,
that. I
if
was
I'm a single mother and I'm working 2 jobs, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this voting, but I know I need to do something. Let me figure out if you got an iPhone or you got a Galaxy, you got a smartphone, you're gonna take that
And that's
2
why-
minutes just
and
to
that's-
figure it out.
and
Or
that's-
guess what? You're gonna go ask somebody in line. Look, I don't know what I'm in line for. Girl, what you voting for? I don't even know. All I know is
But that's
I
why
need
we
my
have to
child.
the census. We got to start off with the census. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Fill out the
everybody did
census
theirs?
form
Yes.
because now they're sending the election ballots through the mail. So they need to account.
I decided not to do election ballot through the mail.
Me
My
either.
polls
Okay.
will be open, and I will be there.
I don't think my
I
poll
will
is
be
going to
there
be
on
open.
Tuesday.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna do both.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do both to make sure.
So you're going to double count?
Cancel you out all together.
Yes.
But they're trying to make it difficult for us to cast our votes. So you guys definitely want to be mindful of filling out the census forms
and
and
also-
getting in contact with your local
Real IDs are coming out too.
I think they did away with that, right?
No,
Did they?
No,
because
it ain't
I
going
think
nowhere.
as of next year, maybe next year November, you won't even be able to fly.
without
without a real
Without
ID.
a real
Okay.
without a-
Okay.
with a-
Now, what is a real ID? Like, why? What?
It has. I
it's a
believe,
hibernation of driver's license and your passport.
So we don't need the passport anymore.
You will still need
You
a
will still
passport
need
for
it.
international travel, for domestic travel.
But we can't use.
You can't use your driver's license to go from state to state. You have to have a real ID.
So the real ID, we can't use the real ID as passport. Like they can't.
No, because you're flying international.
No, that would be dope if they link that into one card.
They're not
But
going to
here's
do
the thing,
that
and
because
let me
they
ask
have to
you
do a
this.
background check for you to.
Well, that's
for
what I'm
the
saying.
passport.
If you have both, it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna give you this card.
If you've been incarcerated, can you get a real ID?
I'm not sure, but you know what? In Florida, I'm just sorry, it's fine. In Florida, I
spit on you.
think that if you are
scratch
a
Coronavirus.
felon, they just passed it. If you are a felon, you're still able to vote. I could be wrong, but there was
certain states,
something
yes.
in certain states. If you are a felon,
Yes.
you
They
are
did pass the law.
you
'Cause
are
paid
able
your
to
time,
vote.
You paid your time. Like you should be able to.
Yeah.
say
And I don't know why,
About
but you
the
know what? That
hierarchy,
puts us
I
at a
wasn't sure.
disadvantage too, because of course a lot of black people
we're
are at a high rate.
At a high rate.
Exactly. So when we come out, we can't vote.
Which
We're-
again,
and we're
so
left to
you
be
can
single
vote
parents.
for
Here's
the
the thing.
people who are able to. If you have people put in place to make the decisions when they're saying, "So who we keeping out of this? How about we eliminate this group of people?" Oh yeah, let's all pass that. No, I'm not agreeing to that.
But
So-
to what you were saying, I do agree that it's time. In these times, we have to make that time to find out who's voting, why they're voting, not who's voting, who's running, why they're running, what they stand for, and we have to educate ourselves. We have to take our time away from these distractions of music, social media, and it's time that we get to these
I don't-
these booths.
For me
and-
personally, I voted straight Democrat for a while. I've now taken the time to
there might
research
be-
and
there
say,
might be a
okay,
Republican Party that
I'm
might-
not going to vote for this Democrat. You need to.
Well, now here's the thing. Just to jump into what he said, there might be a Republican who agrees with that little bit,
Yeah.
but you might agree to so much by
Yeah,
accepting
But that's
it.
why you
So you gotta be
individually
careful.
vote.
You have to be careful.
Yes,
That's why you have to be careful.
You
You
might
have to be careful.
get this side of that person and don't realize so many other things that you don't
Yes.
want is
But
also
with
with that
researching
person.
a candidate too, it's also like, okay, they're saying this today.
Oh, yeah, what if you said in
what
the
we're saying
past?
in the so you have to do all of that research, and that's a lot.
So it's a moderate. So
Which,
what's
let's just say, and we don't ever want to say certain groups of people don't sit around, drink wine, and have serious conversations amongst their friends. But conversations like these need to happen at your table as well. Invite some
Yes.
people over where you pour out a glass of wine and it's like, let's discuss.
I know I need some more.
My man, what are you doing? Tell me what you know about such and such. Oh, I never heard the thing about the war. How does that work? So it's like those conversations have to start happening.
Yeah,
So-
they do.
At the end of the day, life is more than just sex.
Oh, we closing it out?
No.
Oh,
No, I think we could. I mean, we could. But besides George Floyd, what else are we talking about?
that's what I'm saying. Are we closing?
Then I got a couple questions. No, I got a couple questions.
Are you done questions?
He still got questions from
Oh, I
other
didn't know.
people's table. But what I'm saying, and people, it is very
Close it out.
valuable. Life is important, and we didn't have our grandmothers, great grandmothers, grandfathers, great grandfathers do all of this marching,
Sacrifice, die.
peaceful protesting, dying, getting beaten, getting attacked by dogs. No comment to their recent comment that 45 made. To have us just sit around and do nothing.
Yes, we all have a purpose, and we all have to use that in order to make change.
Your vote is your voice, but you have to
Yes.
know when to put it in there.
Yes, voting,
And
protesting.
it's more than just the presidential election. It's everything that happened before that. The president is just the icing on the cake or the lighting the candles to sing happy birthday. It takes everything to start at a community level. Find out who's in your community level. Find out who's running the community center. Find out who's speaking to City Hall. Find out who's your block captain, who's organizing what needs to happen.
We don't even have
on
block
the-
captains anymore.
No,
Yes,
they
we
still
do.
exist.
Yes, they do. My mom's
They're
a block
very
captain.
relevant.
What's
They're
she
still
do?
there.
She captained that block.